it's all about a journey we don't know, that I won't make it all alone.
Bem-vindos ao It's All About the Journey. Hoje tenho como convidado o Senior Master Sean Barry. Welcome, sir. Good to have you. So just to give a little bit of context, people listening at home. So this conversation has the purpose, I have this mission, I'm on this journey to humanize success. What I mean by that is you're obviously, for everybody that does martial arts, everybody that trains specifically Taekwondo, Songam Taekwondo, they all know how successful you are, right? You have multiple world champion titles. But what I feel like a lot of the times is people, they don't know what it takes to reach such levels. Not only they don't know what it takes, but they tend to idealize. Like, oh, it's Master Barry. He's so skillful. That's like just natural. And it's not. We all know it's not. There's a journey, an internal journey towards that. And this conversation with the purpose, well, it will go where it will go, but it's to have the other side. Like what happens inside of a person who reaches this type of results and everything in life. But I'll start by asking, what do you think is success?
I think success is about the constant pursuit of growth. And it constantly changes over time and it adjusts to your new goals that you have, and being able to just be humble enough to be willing to learn and adjust. And so you can reach success. You know, before I thought it was about the material things, the titles, the whatever it might be, materialistic wise. And now I focus more on internal success, and to where I feel when I compete that I'm happy with my form. I don't care about the scores. I don't care about the results. I care about what did I do, and what I want to give off to other people and inspire others to where they want to be better because of themselves, not because of a materialistic type of thing.
And what do you think shifted? So do you think it was necessary to first conquer the materialistic aspect of it to then release from that and go more internal? What was your process?
It took me about 13 years before I finally earned my very first title. And that was very driven and just really goal oriented. But after I reached that first one, it started to become different. And as I went through many setbacks and injuries and just life, I started to look at it not as a setback, as more as a feedback, and learning how to adjust and embrace that adversity, and being able to, just be more mindful of it, and to like be happy with myself and where I'm at, and that they're inevitable. Setbacks and failures and losses, they're inevitable. It's the mindset that you have to grow through those challenges, and to can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it and what you do about it, and to not let those get to you. If you treat it as feedback, it's now an opportunity for you to grow.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Changing setbacks to feedbacks. And so you took 13 years to reach your first title. And by the way, title means world title, world champion title, because there are many titles towards that title. I wanted to go into that first process because I know back at home we have a lot of students who want to reach their first title, and then I'll go deeper in that, which is so. What was it like? Do you remember those 13 years? How was that? How did you deal with every year that you didn't reach the title?
Oh, it's tough, just to get so close to something and then lose, and then to be able to deal with those like broken pieces, that dream, and then to pick it back up. But I was so motivated, self-motivated. Ever since I was young, I was always very self-motivated. I'm the one that asked my mom to find martial arts for me. She wasn't signing me up. I asked for it. And then once I was in there, I was very dedicated and I was hooked. And it was being unhooked on something so beneficial that little did I know at 5, 6 years old that this would be my career now and what I do. And I'm so passionate about it. And now it's about teaching and sharing my knowledge. But during that journey, it was very training focused. School, martial arts was number one. And I would get out of school early and had independent physical education, so independent PE, and I would be traveling to go to classes early and be there for many hours. And I trained 7 days a week.
At what age did you start that level of training?
About 9 years old.
Wow. And how did that self-motivation manifest? Was just something an urge? What did you feel?
I saw like my first world championships and just seeing everything and a friend of mine earning his world title. And I was like, I want that. I want that feeling. Yeah, he won the match and I saw his instructor just pick him up and put him on his shoulders and just like paraded him around. And it was just such an amazing thing to witness that I wanted to embrace that. And so back then it was very different because nowadays in our style that we're able to have titles in each event. And we would do forms and sparring together would count as one event.
It was the sum of both?
Sum of both to get ranked. And you would get ranked in the top 10, but only the top 4 would compete for a world championship title.
Wow.
And the only way to win is you had to spar, and there was no forms. I love forms, but I hated sparring at a young age.
Okay.
So I had to learn how to like sparring to get ranked better and to get better at it. And then the final match, it was like you spar one match in the morning and you spar one match in the evening. And that evening's match decided if you won the world title or not.
Wow. Okay. So and how did you go from not liking sparring to enjoying sparring? Do you remember what was
it? It was definitely a process. It was, I got beat up a lot and there's a lot of tears. Okay. But once my goal was stronger than my feeling of my fear of sparring. And so it took time. And then as I started doing better at sparring and I learned how to perform better and deal with that, then I started placing and then I started getting ranked higher. And then, so within that time frame from 93 to 94, that first year I didn't get into the top 4. I barely made top 10. And the following year I did make it and I got into the top 4 and I got a bronze medal. And then in 95, I got the bronze medal again. In 96, I got the silver medal. So it was just getting ranked and getting better and going through it. And then when it was cool about weapons being introduced later. And then in 2000, it was the first time there was a forms, weapons, and a sparring champion. There was no combat back then.
There was no combat. Yeah, of course. And that 2000 was when they had the 3 different titles.
Correct.
And when did you find the passion for forms? Was it always your main passion?
My main passion, just the technique, and it clicked for me. Memorization is very easy for me. To be honest, I wasn't taught a form until 7th degree was the first form I was really taught.
How come?
From the black belt, because there was no extreme. There was no weapons. And for me to be motivated, to stay motivated during all those years at a young age and being stuck in the rank because you have to have time in rank, I would go watch higher rank divisions.
So you learned by watching them?
Watching everything.
No.
So I learned 1st degree and 2nd degree and 3rd degree and 4th degree, 5th degree and 6th degree. And then 7th degree was the first form that I was actually taught from Grandmaster Mkele. Yeah.
That's so cool. And what is it in the forms that really that clicks you? What is the challenge in the forms? How do you see it?
I just see it as a pattern of moves and just being able to mimic martial artists that I attracted to. Just their energy, how they performed it. I was like, I want to kick like that person. I want to jump like that person. And then it was all about being like other people. And then it wasn't until about 2004, 2005. The year that 2005 was the year I finally got my first world title.
2005. And you started competing 13 years before at that level.
At black belt, yeah.
So. It's good to know because, a lot of the times, and you know this even better than I do, but when students start going to worlds and they think they have to win in the first year or second year, then third year, it's very, very, and the second places and the third places, but which sometimes are more frustrating. The second place is more frustrating than the third place. But then just knowing that it can take so many years to reach the first title.
Exactly.
It's important to know.
I got my first weapons title in 2000. However, it wasn't a world title. They treated it as a national championship. So it was before district. So I got blue letters. So I still didn't feel like I won a title yet. I wanted red letters on the back of my uniform. And so it was 2005. And it was after that training that I really understood how to apply trajectory and muscle and fitness into the form. And the form completely changed. And that was my quest at that time, from like 04, 05 to where I am now. And now I've geared my training completely different, especially how I've been injured over the years and how to overcome that and those challenges.
When was your first major injury? So you had how many surgeries?
I've had 8 knee surgeries.
Right. And when was the first?
First one was a minor one. I dislocated my knee and had a patella tendon repair. That was in 2001. 2006 was my first ACL. And then the real challenge was in 2013. I did my left leg really bad, and it was an ACL. However, I rehabbed it quickly. I tested for my 6th degree. However, the ACL started to disintegrate.
And what was the cause?
The cause was there was the opening, the holes of the attachments, fluid started getting into it and started to just degenerate inside my knee. So I had another ACL from the same doctor. And finally, on the 3rd time it happened, so the same ACL I would rehab it all for that year. And then within that year, it started to fail. And so I went through 3 ACLs in 3 years.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I had to find a different doctor for the 3rd one because I needed it to stick.
Right.
And it was a much longer process. And so I had to travel to Texas to go to a special doctor and to get that surgery for it to take.
But was it was it caused because of the style of training you were having? Was it just your knees were built like that way?
I did a very difficult kick and got twisted in the air, and my leg kind of went up sideways.
Okay.
So then it was just rehabbing it from there. But I got to meet amazing trainers over the time and to how to build it back stronger and to have that confidence in the leg. And it wasn't until I met my most recent trainer that he really dialed in not only my supplements and food and diet and actual really specified training geared for my body and for also just for my sport, learning how to deal with that. But I really found him. I always enjoyed his fitness and stuff that he did and the science behind it.
Who is he? What's his name?
His name
Shout out.
is Kalichi. Kalichi he is an amazing trainer. And I actually suffered from the amount of stress in life and everything. I actually suffered an autoimmune disease, and I was in the hospital and couldn't walk.
When was this?
This was in 2019.
Wow.
And I could not move. My knees and my joints were really big and swollen and just had inflammation. I think they did a blood test and I had an inflammation marker. And for my age at that time, the normal marker was from 9 to 12 to how much inflammation in the body. That's average for them. My inflammation marker was at 145. And they wanted to put me on really bad, nasty medication. And I didn't like that. And so I said, there's got to be a different way. And so I started to pursue it through nutrition, and I started to bring it down, but it was at a 75, but it was still really high.
Wow.
So then that's when I really reached out to Kalichi, and he really, this is so simple. You just need to take this supplement, this probiotic, and within a month, it cleared up.
Amazing.
And then I went back to the rheumatologist about a year later, and I said, hey, I just want to get the test. I want to see, I'm feeling great. Let me see where it's at. And my inflammation marker was at a 2.
Amazing. But that was mostly because of nutrition and
the right supplements.
The right supplements. What was missing? By curiosity, I mean, did you know? What supplements did you take?
I started taking the fish oils and ashwagandha and turmeric.
Really? Right?
Some of the things, and the holy basil and rhodiola rosea, certain things. And there's a certain specific probiotic that I take that's through the gut, because if your
Right.
gut's healthy,
It's
then it goes all
everything
through. Exactly.
goes all through. It's amazing, and it goes against, and then you get your body solved through proper eating, and that's that. I mean, we know this, but so much medication usually just covers up the
Exactly.
problem, and that you solve the problem. So after that, it looks like you went through hell basically, because that's pretty much, as an athlete, have knee surgeries. I mean, I just came out from one major injury that then degenerated into other 17 different little small injuries, whatever. And so I can only imagine, and I know what my year was like mentally, because people think that the injury is physical. It's not. It's how it affects you mentally so much, right? It really depresses you technically.
It does.
It does, right? So what made you come back?
It was very difficult, during going through those 3 ACLs and not being able to do fully what you love,
Right.
at a capacity that you're capable of, and to adjust. I still got to teach, but I didn't get to kick the way I did. I love to perform. It's
Right.
just the feeling that I get that's why I still compete, is just for that feeling. I love to spar and fight now, but I can't. It's not in my cards, just to protect him, and it's not worth it. But to still have that adrenaline high and feed off that energy, I go out to do forums, and I do weapons, and I still teach it at a high level. So it's dealing through that depression, though. Really, you really got to look at yourself and what makes you happy, and to find that happiness from within, and to then get back and to say no to certain things, and being able to go against modern medicine. I was against it. And I said, I can do it a different way, and finding that different route and growing from that challenge. And then from there, I know that I empathize with other students and other athletes. So it's like everybody's journey is different. And
Right.
to be able to give off your knowledge, and I might inspire others to change something. You got to let go of certain habits if you really want to grow and reach your goal that you want. And if it's going to get in your way of your progress, then you have to adjust.
Right. And now, I mean, you're a living example of how you take care of your training. I mean, we were even training this morning, and it was pretty impressive to see how detailed it is, and how specific it is to what we do, but so intelligently set up as well. And now you made it. It's like a craft. It's so well designed, so well prepared. So you become this living example of somebody who prepares, somebody who really prepares for being in this state. Because this is the interesting part: is you can perform like this, right? If you have to just go now, okay, can I compete? I'll compete.
Yes.
And so that must be very, very refreshing to be feeling like that after so many years of injuries and all of that. And so nowadays, you getting back to the internal gratification feeling. What does it feel like? What is your quest? I mean, what is?
I think it's just the pursuit of growth. I'm not satisfied. I always want to. How can I improve? How can I become better? And for myself, I want to be able to be an inspiration for others. And I wouldn't ask any student or a fellow athlete to do something if I couldn't do it myself. And if I've been through that process and journey, it's not just, I try to walk the walk and not just talk about it.
No, for
So
sure.
if I haven't gone through those trenches of training and the trenches of setbacks and failures and whatnot, then how can I expect or relate to another person, a student, a competitor, and to help?
Right.
And like I was telling you before, it's like even in our own division and that we compete, I want to help my fellow competitors. And when you become a master instructor, it's their vision completely changes. My paradigm completely changed and shifted. Before I was like, it's my secret. See, I don't want to divulge my secret handbook on how to train, but I look at it as building up our whole organization. And if if I think competition is so important because it helps that person wanting to train towards a goal. And being at our age and being at our level, that if you're inspired to compete, then that energy gives off to your instructors and to your
For sure.
students. And then they see you and then they get inspired. And if the level of competition, if the level of training, and if everybody was given all the secrets, now it's up to you what you do with it to
Mhm.
see what you're going to, how you're going to train, how are you going to eat, how are you going to deal with things. And if we up that level, then our organization is just going to continually to improve. And I
Mhm.
want to see our organization get better and the athletes that we produce, but not only just the physical aspect, that they
Mhm.
can handle the defeat. They
Right.
look at it as a learning process. This is part of it. We're going to be emotionally about it, absolutely, because we care.
Yeah.
But to handle that and go over those valleys and reach those peaks later. And guess what? When we get those peaks, we're going to hit some more
Yeah,
valleys.
then the
It's gonna
valley is
happen.
coming after that.
And it happens, and it's inevitable. And just to be able to embrace it and know your why, your purpose of what is your goal. And for me, it's just, I just want to be better than I was yesterday. And how cliche it sounds, but it's true.
Yeah.
How can I be better than the last time I was on the mat? And if I can inspire others to reach that level where they have that same mindset and they apply it to all areas of their life, then they just become a better individual for their community, for their family, for whoever, even just mainly just for themselves.
Right. No,
And
and it is true. It's I am one of those examples of a person that you helped prepare for last year's Worlds, and there you were so generously sending me texts and videos. Oh, do this more like this, put more power here, do this and that, and I found that was so. First of all, so generous. Repeating myself, but it was so powerful as well, because you think like you had more things to do, more important things to deal with than, helping this guy over there, across the ocean and with his form. But there you were just helping out. And that has so much impact, because then I performed better, obviously. Then my students, obviously, our students, they performed better. So it has this chain effect. And there you are here 1 year later at the European camp, and everybody that you took a little bit time with, because they would go and ask you how to perform, how to do this and that, and there you were. All of them were touched for greatness now. And that's so powerful. That's so powerful that you can become that living example. And I'm just sharing this with you as well, because also as we grow older, one of our worries is, how am I going to keep growing older and not lose my ability to perform, to train, to all of that. So do you have any tips for people listening at home that train martial arts over their 40s?
I think it's huge. Is our mind is so powerful, and as soon as we're closed-minded and we give into society's thoughts of things, I'm old. I can't do it. To me, that's a bunch of baloney. It's just, if you believe that you can do it, it's just a matter of time. If there's a will, there's absolutely a way.
Mhm.
And you have to have that growth mindset, that open mind that, hey, anything is possible. But if I approach things and I have a negative mindset, then it's just going to spiral down, and we're going to come up with all these excuses to do it. I mean, how many people have been successful in their own field that weren't successful till 45 or 50 or
Right.
60 or 70? And look at these people that are in their 90s that are still moving. But the people that are not moving is because they started to give in to a lot of things.
For sure.
And I remember reading about, I can't remember where I read it from. It was a study of people from World War II. It was a while ago. And they took a bunch of veterans and they put them into a community that they built. And it was built in a time when they were kids. So everything, the housing,
Yes.
the TV shows, whatever it was on, the radio shows, everything just gave off this younger generation's time.
Right.
And they walked in with canes, they walked in with walkers. And by the end of the study, I don't know if it was like 1 to 2 weeks, how much your environment changes.
Right.
They were not using canes. They were not using walkers. They were throwing footballs with each other.
Yeah, they were going up and down the stairs.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
so it's just
pretty
like
impressive.
just by changing your environment and how impactful that can be.
And the people you choose to listen, you know, that's something I often give myself that advice. Like, if you're hurt, don't ask another person who's hurt how to, you know, ask somebody who went through it and who's strong now how to get strong again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to surround yourself, put yourself in that environment, have that open mind, and not accept certain things, and just being able to
but also part of the, because the body is changing, right? How do you put that aspect of growing older within that realm of possibilities? Do you?
I think I'm a little bit just smarter or wiser in how I do things compared to being younger and not so smart. Being able to do things, the biggest thing is that nutrition, you know, how I feel my body and what I feed it with. Then from the nutrition, then the training, you know, you have to constantly be training in some aspect to keep those legs strong, to keep your body strong. So then it protects yourself from injury. You know, so if you were to fall down, you would be okay. You know, you're not going to break something from it.
Right.
And to then, you know, just have that, you know, be smart about decision makings on, okay, I'm not going to try this flip anymore, but it doesn't mean I can't be still mobile
Of
and
course.
stay moving. And so I think it's just the mindset, then what you're eating, and then what you're doing about it. The training will change, but you know, we still got to keep our bodies moving. The motion is the lotion.
Yes, absolutely. And you see people who keep themselves active at 40, at 50, they look really good, and they're continually active, which means that 60 and 70, they will be much better than those who just start giving in the little pains, the little this, and now this, I cannot do this. And so message back there at home, keep training, right? Keep moving forward. And so to finish, what advice would you? I mean, you've given a lot of advice already, but when people think about success and when they think about results, what advice specifically can you give them at home?
I think you have a goal, and I think success, the results will come when you focus just more on yourself, and giving yourself that time to whatever is going to be there, and don't give it a time frame either. You know, if we have this deadline, and then we might get stressed out about it. That's not for every goal. Sometimes there are deadlines, and I understand that. But I think the biggest thing is being able to just really dive into whatever you want to be successful at. And if maybe you not reach that goal, but are you a different person? Are you better? And that's, I think success was like before for me was material, is now it's very internal. And then it'll very reach out to other people by being an inspiration about that. So I just embrace the challenges, you know, grow, have that growth mindset, have a resilient focus, because there's a lot of distractions in life. But if we can snap ourselves back again and again and again, and get us back on track each time, and having that focus, that determination, then we will reach it. And just have that clarity of purpose too, you know, and sometimes that might change when things happen, but just like, why are you doing this? There's got to be a why. And then if there's that reason, then.
And you think that why is something that you feel, you know?
I think you need to take time to really think. And you might want something, but why do you want it? What is it going to do? What's that result that you're going to create? So let's, you know, find that why, find that purpose, have a resilient focus, and grow through challenges, because it's going to happen. And if you can focus on those three, then you'll get there.
And if the why is based on or rooted in growth, it will always be a good why.
Exactly.
All right. And also one thing I really like what you said, the changing setbacks into feedbacks.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, sir. This was a great conversation.
Thank you, sir.